Have you ever looked out at the world of men and felt a deep, unshakable sense of disappointment? Have you seen the wasted energy, the frantic search for fleeting pleasure, the profound lack of drive that defines a generation? You are not mistaken in what you see. Our civilization is morally degenerate, and it has led most men to be completely out of control with their sexuality by their 20s. What if I told you the pervasive weakness you observe stems from a single, grotesquely misunderstood act? You have been conditioned to believe the male orgasm is a triumph. This is the great deception, a psychological prison designed to keep you powerless. The unvarnished truth is that when a male has an orgasm, he suffers an enormous catastrophic loss of life substance. In the raw energetics of the sexual act, the male is the actual loser. But there is another path, a hard path for the few. It is a path of power and self-mastery born from sexual self-restraint. Its ultimate expression is celibacy. For a man raised in this age, this is a monumental task. But the pursuit itself is where the magic begins. Any degree of restraint gives great benefits. Even the man who fails in perfect celibacy has achieved a great victory because he is learning to curb his desire and develop mastery over it. If this video reaches 10 likes and we grow to 500 subscribers, I will give you a powerful book for free, a book that can change your life. And with it, a special gift that only true seekers will value. Subscribe now and be part of the few who step into this journey. Before we speak of the rewards, you must first understand the descent. You were not born a leaking vessel. You were born in a state of innocent childhood with your life force, your Shakti, pure and contained. In this state, the world was a place of wonder, not a source of craving. There was a natural happiness that required no external stimulation. Think back to that time. The intensity of the sun on your skin, the taste of fresh water, the sheer joy of running without purpose. Your senses were sharp, your mind was clear, your spirit was an unshakable fortress. You were whole. Then the conditioning began. Society, media, even your peers. They started to teach you a new language, a language of lack, a language of needing something outside of yourself to feel complete. They presented you with images, ideas, and desires that were not your own. They planted a seed of restlessness within you, a constant itch that could only be scratched by external validation and sensory pleasure. And the ultimate pleasure, the peak they sold you on, was the orgasm. They framed it as a conquest, a release, a moment of ultimate manhood. But it was a trick, a sleight of hand to get you to willingly empty your reserves, to give away your most precious resource for a flicker of sensation, a shadow of true ecstasy. Every time you indulged, the vessel cracked a little more. The vibrant colors of the world began to fade, replaced by a dull gray haze of constant low-level anxiety. The inner silence you once knew was replaced by a relentless inner monologue, a chatterbox of desire, insecurity, and fear. You became predictable, easy to control, a consumer driven by base impulses, a ghost walking through a world that was once your kingdom. This isn't philosophy. It's a deep psychological principle that modern science is only just beginning to clumsily understand. Consider the concept of the hedonic treadmill. Psychologists use this term to describe a simple, brutal truth. The more you chase pleasure, the more your baseline for happiness shifts. You need more and more stimulation just to feel normal. The first taste is never as good as the last, and soon you're not even chasing joy anymore. You're just running from the emptiness that follows. The orgasm is the ultimate engine of this treadmill. It provides a massive dopamine spike, a temporary feeling of bliss and relief. But the crash that follows is just as massive. It leaves your brain depleted, your motivation shattered, and your soul yearning for the next hit. You are, quite literally, programming your own mind to be an addict to a pleasure that costs you your very life force. Imagine a young entrepreneur, full of brilliant ideas and boundless energy. He works tirelessly, building his vision, but at night, he succumbs to the conditioning. He seeks that fleeting release, and the next morning, he wakes up with what he calls brain fog. His brilliant ideas seem distant. His boundless energy is gone. He can't connect the dots. He doesn't realize he spent his creative capital on a moment of meaningless sensation. He traded his empire for a handful of dust. This is the silent tragedy playing out in millions of lives. Men with the potential for greatness, for genius, for profound spiritual insight, willingly trading their birthright for a chemical cocktail that leaves them weaker, more anxious, and more enslaved than before. The universe doesn't punish this act, it simply responds to it. It is a law of nature, as real as gravity. When you spill your seed, you spill your potential. You are telling the universe that you are content with the lowest possible expression of your masculine energy. You are choosing the valley over the mountaintop. And so, the universe gives you a life of valleys, a life of quiet desperation, a life of chasing shadows. The rewards you seek, the confidence, the charisma, the clarity of mind, the deep magnetic presence that commands respect without a word. These are not things you can acquire. They are things you must uncover. They are already inside you, buried under layers of conditioning and squandered energy. The first step to uncovering them is to stop the leak, to seal the vessel. This process is not about deprivation. That is another lie of the conditioned mind. It is not about denying yourself pleasure. It is about choosing a higher pleasure, a more permanent state of being. It is the joy of a mind that is sharp and clear, the power of a will that is unbreakable, the peace of a spirit that is whole and self-contained. When you retain this energy, it begins to change you from the inside out. It is a potent creative substance, and if it is not expelled downwards, it has nowhere to go but up. It rises up your spine, illuminating your mind, strengthening your body, and magnetizing your very presence. People will notice a change in you. They won't know what it is, but they will feel it. Your eyes will have a certain depth, a penetrating clarity. Your voice will carry a new resonance, a tone of authority and conviction. You will move with a purpose and a certainty that is unsettling to those who are still leaking their power away. Women are especially sensitive to this change. They are not attracted to the man who chases them, but to the man who is so absorbed in his own mission, so full of his own energy, that his presence alone is a force of nature. This is the magnetism they truly crave. Not the fleeting attention of a needy man, but the powerful orbit of a man who is a sun unto himself. He doesn't need their light. He generates his own, and they are irresistibly drawn to his warmth and power. The universe rewards the man who masters himself, because a man who masters his own inner world can inevitably master the outer world. The discipline it takes to control your most primal urge is the same discipline that builds businesses, creates art, and forges empires. It is the master key that unlocks all other doors. This journey begins with a single, simple choice: to value your life force more than a fleeting sensation, to choose the long path of power over the short path of pleasure. It is a silent rebellion against a sick and dying culture, a declaration of your own sovereignty. Every day you succeed is a victory. Every urge you overcome forges your will into steel. You are not just abstaining, you are transmuting. You are taking the raw, chaotic energy of lust and refining it into ambition, into creativity, into spiritual power. This is the secret alchemy the ancients spoke of: turning lead into gold, turning the base animal into the divine man. It is the hardest work a man can do, and the most rewarding. The universe is not a passive observer in this process. It is an active participant. When it sees a man taking control of his own energy, it begins to conspire in his favor. Opportunities will appear as if from nowhere. The right people will walk into your life. Synchronicities will become a daily occurrence. You will feel as if you are being guided, protected, because you are aligning yourself with the creative force of life itself. Instead of constantly draining it away, you are becoming a conduit for power, not a drain for it. And the universe always gives more power to those who can handle it responsibly. This is the path. It is not for everyone. It is for the few who have heard the call, who have felt the deep dissatisfaction with the modern way of being, and who are brave enough to walk in the opposite direction.